So I decided to record a book haul for the month of June. So I wanted to do this book haul because I realized that in this short amount of time that I decided to start seriously reading again, for more than just school, like actual like reading for pleasure, reading for fun, had accumulated a lot. Most of my books are actually secondhand, and I'm actually really proud of that. Not that I'm against people purchasing new books, because I've also purchased new books, but I'm really proud of that because I was able to give books a home. And even though I also unhaul books, I unhaul books not because I hate those books, but because they probably should go to somebody who actually does want to read them, and by either donating them or, you know, getting credit for them through a used bookstore, I can continue to feed, you know, my reading needs. So I actually separated this into categories. I have used from Amazon books that I've purchased. I have new from Amazon books that I've purchased. Then I have new books that I've purchased in general. Well, these specific ones, it's only 2 of them, they're from Target. And then I have a pretty large pile of books that I've purchased from my used bookstore, my local used bookstore. So I'm going to start with the ones that I got from the used bookstore. So this didn't happen in one trip. This was actually 2 trips. The first trip was me just discovering the actual bookstore because it had been in my mall for a long time, but I never even stepped into it. I think I spent less than $30 on all those books. And the cool thing about the receipt that you get is that it shows you at the bottom how much money you saved if you had bought those books brand new. So in my first receipt, I think it said I saved like $100 and something, and it was like the same for my second receipt when I went the second time. So that was really cool. That bookstore has a program where they will buy back. Obviously the price on their buyback is going to depend on the quality and the type of book it is, and if it's like a newer book versus an older book. First time, spent less than 30 bucks. My boyfriend bought them for me. The second time, I used my unhaul store credit to purchase the rest of these. And the second time around, all of my store credit covered all of the books that I got the second time. So the first book I purchased is titled Shaman. This was from the fiction section. I picked this up because the word shaman really speaks to me. I have a lot of books that are nonfiction that speak about shamanism, and maybe we'll get a little bit more into that as you know, this channel progresses. But I thought this would be an interesting read. I really have no idea if I'm gonna like it or not, but I'm definitely not opposed to DNFing anything. So yeah, I'm excited to read that. The second book I got is titled Riddlemaster, and I don't know this author whatsoever. I don't know many authors, so that's not surprising. But it says World Fantasy Award winner, so that's what intrigued me. I love reading fantasy, and if she won an award, then something in here must be good, right? And it says it has the complete trilogy. So if it has the complete trilogy, and even though it is a rather large book, it's under 600 pages, so I feel like a whole trilogy in here, that's probably going to be a pretty easy read. So I'm looking forward to reading that. It's called Spook. This was the first one that I picked up because it's black, it says Spook, and it has a cool like cover, and I love anything that looks dark, eerie, gothic, horror. So that's what attracted me to it. I didn't even know what it was about. But this one is Science Tackles the Afterlife, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds like such a great read, and I really can't wait to get this one started. It's called The Firemaker, also from the fiction section, and it says the first of the China thrillers. So this is the first in a series of books, and this one intrigued me because of the first sentence that I read in the back. and it reads, when the horribly burned corpse of a Chinese government scientist is found smoldering in a Beijing park, newly promoted detective Li Yan is assisted to the case. So, burned corpse of a Chinese scientist, I'm already thinking conspiracy, but after everything that happened with the pandemic and all the conspiracy theories of, you know, people discrediting scientists while other people were saying that the government was hushing scientists, it intrigued me on this specific topic. So even though it is fiction, I thought it would be a really fun read. Now, I am Mexican American. My parents are Mexican. They immigrated here to the US. I'm born in the US. But because the reason that's even relevant right now is because this next book that I got. So to pronounce this, my first language is Spanish. So my first language is telling me it's Arcadio. But then my English speaking self says it's Arcadio. So I haven't even begun to read this book, so I don't even know. But this book intrigued me because of the cover. I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but we all do it, right? So the inside jacket, little excerpt, reads, William Goyen's, once again, Spanish right here, right? New novel, Arcadio, ranks among his most powerful and original visionary works. It virtually pulses with life. It is both audacious and wise, a timeless fable that manages to be boldly contemporary as well. So reading that, I thought, this sounds like a good, fun book. Like, and then in the cover, like, you're seeing, this is the name of a man typically. So you see the name of a man, and then the main character looks like they're dressed half in like a dress and pearls with makeup, and the other half appears to be like some sort of like wrestler, trapeze artist, I don't know, but it looks like it's gonna be a good, interesting book, so I picked that one up. The next one is the only book in my entire haul that is in Spanish. So it's Willa de los Bosques, or Willa de los Bosques, because Willa to me is more of an English name, so I would be like Willa, but then de los Bosques is in Spanish. But anyways, Willa of the Forests, or Forest, is the name of this book, and the cover is beautiful, and it was in Spanish, and that's all that it needed to be for me to buy it. Because I told myself I needed to practice reading more in Spanish, and I typically don't read in Spanish. I don't take Spanish classes. I have only taken Spanish when I was in high school many eons ago. Okay, so that pretty much sums up my first trip to a used bookstore. On my second trip, and these are the books, excuse me, these are the books that I got with the credit from my book unhaul. Okay, so the first book I got was Valiant, hardcover. Now, I already have this book, and I am not one of those people that likes to have multiple copies unless they're one of my favorite books. Oh, and I opened it just so you could see. I love it that it's all black, and then the lettering is just this like metallic green color. It's so beautiful. Maybe if it was my first time reading it now, I wouldn't like it. I don't know, but I just love it, and it reminds me of like my love for books and my love for fantasy and the fairy world, and I just had to buy it, and it was only $2. Oh, and I loved it because the one that I have is like one of those floppy paperbacks, and it's actually smaller. It's like right here. So it's like this little floppy paperback, and it's like, looks like the edges are all messed up. So I love that I could get this copy because even though it was used, it's still in better condition than my copy. So yeah. Then next to that book was Ironside. I've actually never read this book, which seems crazy to me because if I love that one, why would I read this one? And Tithe, I believe, is the first book she actually wrote in this type of like fairy tale series. Okay, then the third book I got on the second trip is by Katja Raymond. It's called Wind from the Foreign Sky. Now, I love the cover, you know, it's also a hardback, but the castle and the colors just reminded me of like beautiful fantasy, getting lost in the world type of vibes. And it's also book 1 of the Tielmeron, if that's how you say it, Chronicles. And it's really hard to find the first book in a series when you go to used bookstores. So I thought this was such a great find, and it's not damaged or written in whatsoever. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th book. The 5th book, Bound by Blood and Sand. Also beautiful cover, beautiful colors. Small note. So on my second trip, I already had my Goodreads account, so I actually went on Goodreads and typed in every single title of these books that I'm showing you to see what they were rated. And most of them were rated either 4 stars, basically around 4 stars, either a little below or a little above 4 stars on average. So to me, that's a really good sign. And I did read somebody's review on this, and they liked it, but they did have trigger warnings for, they said, slavery and rape. So, I mean, that's not like something that I can't read, or I don't have problems reading really anything. So I picked it up because it seems like it's going to be a really good one. The 6th book, and the first one that I picked up, was American Jezebel. And then I read the inside jacket and I was like, I need to grab it. So I'm just going to read you like this first little paragraph. It says, in 1637, Anne Hutchinson, a 46-year-old midwife who was pregnant with her 16th child, stood before 40 male judges of the Massachusetts General Court, charged with heresy and sedition. In a time when women could not vote, hold public office, or teach outside the home, the charismatic Hutchinson wielded remarkable political power. Her unconventional ideas had attracted a following of prominent citizens eager for social reform. Hutchinson defended herself brilliantly, but the judges, faced with the perceived threat to public order, banished her for behaving in a manner not commonly for her sex. So, I'm like, I'm probably gonna really like this lady, because I'm all about the rebel. I'm all about, you know, that person that stands up and refuses to be bullied or to be quieted or to be sedated, if you will, into living a life that is not their own. And I really fall in love with people like that. So this, the title, the fact that it was nonfiction, so that means this really happened, you know. And then at the bottom it says that it was written by one of her direct descendants. So this seems like it's going to be such a great read. So everything was fiction except for the American Jezebel, from this second book haul at the used bookstore. This one's called Abundance. So it says, a novel of Marie Antoinette. I mean, do I have to say anything else? I already know it's gonna be like full of some type of scandal. So this book is so pretty. I mean that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the pages. Like, I don't know if you can see, but they're like there's like a shadow there, but it's got like that uneven page ridge look. That's so cool. And then when you open them, even though it's a hardback, it feels like so worn in, but not in a like a raggedy way. And the pages look like kind of yellow. It seems like it's gonna be like such a good book, you know. But anyways, yeah, so that sums up my haul. Dang, this is gonna be a long video. That sums up my haul for the used bookstore. So now I'm gonna move on to the secondhand books I got from Amazon, called The 7 Gothic Tales. So this one does have like a marking right here, but I really don't care about that. And I got this one because I really wanted to start reading more Gothic books, and what's considered Gothic really depends on who you're talking to. So I'm assuming you can't go wrong with something that's called 7 Gothic Tales. Yeah, Gothic doesn't necessarily mean horror, so also don't get that confused with horror or terror. Second used book I got from Amazon is called The Shadow of the Wind, and it's also supposed to be a Gothic read. And I got this one based off of a recommendation from a booktuber who made recommendations for Gothic books. So, American Gothic Tales. And this one, American Gothic Tales, the title says it all, is also a bunch of different stories. So there's already 2 books that are in the Gothic genre that are like a bunch of short stories instead of like one long story or a novel. And the reason I gravitated to these more was because I really wanted to get a taste and a feel for what the Gothic genre was going to sound like and taste like. You know, like I really wanted to savor it before I went and bought just one story, even though I did buy, you know, this other one. That's the only one that I got. That was Gothic. That was just one story. These 2 are tales because I really wanted to just get an idea for that category of books. And then The Wolf. And this just says it was withdrawn from Johnson County Library, which is who knows where. But, and this, I believe, is also supposed to be considered Gothic, but don't quote me on that. I mean, the cover looks Gothic AF, like, don't get me wrong. And it says, dark conspiracies, larger than life characters, and tense battles, a rousing cross between the Magnificent Seven and Game of Thrones. So with that, I was sold. I don't even know what the Magnificent Seven is. I think I've heard something about it, but I'm not going to claim that I know anything really. But when they said Game of Thrones, I was like, say less. So yeah, last one in the used category is another Holly Black book. This one's called The Coldest Girl in Cold Town. And yeah, we're probably gonna do like a Holly Black vlog because why not, right? Everybody does vlogs for everything. Now I'm gonna go into actual like brand new purchased copies of books. So these my sister bought for me, so thank you, sis. The first one is The Book Thief. I got this one also based off of amazing reviews. Like everybody that read this book that I've seen so far loved it, and a few people have cried, and let's see, right? And then the second book that I got at Target, and the reason I look awkward as hell is because I'm reaching down to get these books because there's so many books. It's like, where do I even put these things? But yeah, the second book that I got is called Firekeeper's Daughter. And oh man, look at that cover. It's beautiful. And yeah, it's also a hardcover. Oh, I'm a sucker for books that look like this. All black as well. This one I also looked at the reviews on Goodreads and they had really good reviews. Some people absolutely loved it. I liked the fact that it looked very, it seemed very indigenous. The title seemed very indigenous. And then I was reading about the author, and it says that she is part of the Chippewa Indians. I believe I'm saying it right. And she's a storyteller who writes about about her Ojibwe community in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I'm all for supporting indigenous or people of color work, and this is her debut novel and it was rated really high, so I can't wait to read this. Okay, you guys, I would say let's take a break, but if we take a break we're never gonna finish. But now we're down to the last category, and the last category is everything that I purchased from Amazon. Now, I believe 2 of these books, one of them was purchased as a gift to me from my sister, and another one from my boyfriend. So yeah, it seems like this whole video is just sponsored by my sister and my boyfriend. They really support my enthusiasm for reading. Yeah, my boyfriend's not a reader though. He's really not a reader. Kind of bothers me, but we don't have to talk about that right now. Okay, so the first book that I got from Amazon in mint condition. I'm just kidding. Well, it's supposed to be mint, but whatever. So, Jane Eyre. Now, funny story, I did not read the description that told me how big this was going to be. So I thought I was going to get something around this size. And then I got this big old like workbook looking type of thing. And I was like, is this a joke? And then I opened it and it was not a joke. So I don't know how I feel about reading this, but I wanted to read Jane Eyre, and this book cost me like $4, even though it was brand new. It was weird, and it was on Prime, so I don't know. So next I got The Raven Boys. Now, I got this book because I wanted to get a little sprinkling of books that are either well known in the booktube community, in the fantasy booktube community, so that I could like compare and contrast actual tastes, because since I haven't been reading for a long time, I haven't been keeping up with what's been coming out in any type of fantasy really, except for like the OGs, the originals like LOTR and WOT. And if you know what that stands for, then you know what's up. Hello, welcome to our new club. I'm just kidding. So anyways, I digress. So I got The Raven Boys because so many people who read a lot of fantasy read or read and enjoy The Raven Boys. So I got the first in the series. Then my next purchase was Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, everybody knows this. Well, I don't know. It's a classic. It's a classic, and this is just something that I want to read in my lifetime. That's why I bought it. There's nothing else to say about this. That's it. Okay. Next book, Mexicans in the Making of America. Now, I would love to tell you that I bought this because I'm just so in tune with who I am and where I come from, but no, that's not true. The reason I bought it was because I was gonna take a course in Chicano studies that I ended up dropping, and this was the required reading, and I purchased it before I dropped, hence I own it now. I mean, I don't for one second doubt that Mexicans helped make America, just like I don't doubt any immigrants helped make America. Another purchase is Ray Bradbury's The Halloween Tree. I like some of Ray's works because I can't say I like it all. Why? Because I haven't read it all. And it's called The Halloween Tree. Like, I didn't really care about anything else. The title was cool. The art on this cover is so awesome. If you go up close, it's like a picture of all these different people in costumes or monsters. Hard to tell which. Well, some of them have masks on, whatever. But from far away, then my 130th purchase, I'm just kidding. Another one of my purchases was Cry Wolf. I think it's a series of more than 5 books. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on anything, actually. But, yeah. Looking forward to actually reading that book. Throne of Glass. Sarah J. Maas. So, mixed reviews. I follow some booktubers that hate her and think that she takes way too long to say one thing. And then I have some YouTubers that absolutely adore her and that love all of her works. So I just thought I'm gonna get Throne of Glass and we'll see where we land with that. I have yet to start it. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. If I don't like the first book, I'm gonna be sad because, I mean, look at everything that she's written, and I just love, like I said, finding really good series. So I hope that it is not a disappointment, because this is another book that says right here, fans of Game of Thrones and the Hunger Games will love it. So don't put Game of Thrones on your cover if you cannot deliver. That's all I'm gonna say. And it better not be fan of Game of Thrones, because I've heard people that have read Game of Thrones books series, whatever you want to call it, depending on who you're talking to. Some people might get more hurt by different phrasings, wordings, whatever. But I've heard people say that I've read that Martin takes a long time to describe things. So if him taking a long time to describe things and her taking a long time to say one thing is the only thing they have in common, then I'm going to be very mad. But, you know, let's hope that's not it. Okay, next book. The Dark Days Club. I don't even know where I heard about this book. I don't know if I was just looking at readers who bought this also bought that on Amazon, and that's how I got it. Because I don't think I remember anybody talking about this book. But yeah, it says New York Times bestselling author of Eon and Iona. Like, I even know what that is because I don't. Allison Goodman. It just says high society can be hell. Very vague. You know, what is high society? Are we talking about literal high society? Figurative high society? I'm going to say literal just because of the way that she's dressed, but I don't know. Who am I? The Dark Days Club. It just sounds like a really cool title. I'm not a fan of this type of artwork. Like, I don't typically pick something up that looks like this. I like something that looks a little more like this. So yeah, I'll give her that. This artwork is so cool. Not that she drew it. Well, I don't know, but yeah. Hopefully that's a good book. I don't know. I'm getting tired here, you guys. Being a booktuber is hard. I'm just kidding. Okay, so this purchase, I actually felt like I had found a gem in the rough desert of the Sahara. It's called Epic Tales, Native American Myths and Tales. I mean, oh, it's so beautiful. Look at that. Yes. Yeah, it's gorgeous, darling. It's gorgeous. But okay, so this goes back to me wanting more variety in the books that I'm reading and wanting to read more about indigenous cultures. And by indigenous, I don't mean indigenous only to the United States of America. I mean indigenous everywhere. So I don't know if this is well, it says Native American, so obviously Native American, but I don't know if this is like a collection from different tribes, or like, I really don't know. I just saw that it said that it was Epic Tales, and I love it when a book is a bunch of tales about one thing that I don't know much about, because I feel like I get, you know, a taste. V.E. Schwab, Darker Shade of Magic. Another one of little sprinkles of what some booktubers have recommended. I've seen some people love this, and I've seen some people DNF it. So I don't know how to feel about it. I've never read anything by her, so I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. And this is something I definitely want to start because it just looks badass. And, I mean, you can't be a New York Times best-selling author by being shite, right? There. Okay, now this next book I bought because I have never read it. Well, I have never read most of these. But it is one of those, like, books that I cannot wait to read and say that I read and that I finished it, because it is massive. And that is it. That is it. I'm such a dork. Okay, but yeah, look at how big this thing is. It's half of my face, bro. Obviously I've seen the book. Well, I don't know why I keep saying obviously when it's not obvious to everybody, but I've seen the movie. I enjoy the movie. I've heard the book is a lot darker than the movie. I've heard a lot of the low reviews on this book is because I believe there is some type of sexual components that bother people, and that's as spoiler as I'm gonna get. Not like I could get much else because I haven't read it, but whatever. I am a fan of anime. I am a fan of manga. I am a fan of some comics. With that being said, this one is the one my sister purchased for me. She gave me this. She told me to pick something out that I was gonna like, and I decided to buy UZUMAKI hardcover. Oh, I love that sound. Yeah, it's supposed to be a horror manga, and it's about spirals, which sounds like what? Like when I saw somebody reviewing it, and they said it was about spirals, and I was like, how's that scary? That sounds lame. Strange the Dreamer. I also got it based off a recommendation. I love the artwork, and I don't know why I just gravitated towards this book so much. I also got it on Amazon. I bought it brand new. I already, you know, broke the spine a little bit. I know this is probably so cringe to some people, but oh, I just love it. It's like it was used and abused. Yeah, almost done with it. I'm enjoying it so far. Now, the last book here, and the one that prompted me to even do a June book haul video, because I wasn't even going to do it. I thought it was like, why would I do that? And I thought, well, if you're starting a booktube channel, then you kind of have to And I'm like, well, what if I don't really want to have a booktube channel? What if it's more of like a lifestyle channel? And then I just started fighting with myself, and then I just thought, this is dumb. This is why people don't create stuff, and this is why people hesitate to do things, and I just got to jump in. So anyways, after we had my little therapy session there, okay, so a Game of Thrones, the illustrated edition. Oh, it's so beautiful. So I was gonna buy the books anyway because I have not read them, which seems crazy, ludicrous. Finally got it, and the illustrated version I wasn't planning on getting because I didn't even know it existed, and I was just gonna buy like I think it was like a bundle of like the first 3 books. But then when I saw this, I was like, oh, I need to have it. I don't even know if I'm gonna like the books, but I need to have it because I love Game of Thrones so much, and I just can't imagine myself not liking the books. Like, that seems ridiculous. But yeah, so just to give you guys a little sneak peek, the North and the South, y'all. Oh, it's so beautiful. So it has a little, okay, here it is. So this was just, it was like wrapped in plastic, which is awesome because it prevents it from getting all nasty. And it's so mint. Oh, so mint. And it says, it was published in the celebration of the 20th anniversary. Lavishly illustrated, featuring gorgeous full color artwork as well as black and white illustrations in every chapter. So I thought that was just amazingly cool. And here's this one. Oh, it's just beautiful. So let's find a colored one. Okay, here we go. It looks like on photo paper, that's why it's glossy. But yeah, it's beautiful. I can't wait to read this. This makes me more excited to actually start reading it. And I'm probably gonna make a vlog for this as well. But yeah, that sums everything up. I'm gonna do my best to add Amazon affiliate links, whatever you call it, at the bottom, so that hopefully if you guys want to buy any of these books, you can find them easily and I can get a percentage of that profit, or just so you guys can browse and look at the used ones. Like, okay, so I get really like awkward at the beginning and at the end of videos because I don't know how to open and close. All the middle stuff, all the stuffing, all the, you know, in the Oreo you got the cookie and then you got the filling and the other cookie. I feel like I'm only the filling. Until next time. Oh, I'm also going to put the link to my Goodreads, link to the books, and some other stuff in the description box. Feel free to open that up and read it or not read it or whatever. But yeah, until next time, y'all.